Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Excuse Me, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome, welcome, welcome to my Be Health Empowered family. My name is Dr. Melissa Clarke. I'm your host, also known as Dr. Mel. Thanks for joining us to kick off another amazing week that we are going to create for ourselves. At Excuse Me, Doctor, we are here to bring you health topics that are based on science, so you can be confident and empowered to make the best health decisions for yourself, your family, and your community. And we don't really deal in a whole lot of speculation. We clear up misinformation and we debunk disinformation. We're here every Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, streaming on YouTube and Facebook. Welcome to my newbies. So if you're joining us for the first time, or if you haven't yet done it, please hit that like button on Facebook, or if you're on YouTube watching us, please hit that subscribe button. We appreciate you greatly. So, tonight we are going to be talking about that COVID quarantine 15. That's, of course, referring to the weight that many people have gained during the pandemic due to anxiety and stress eating, comfort food, maybe less exercise, less getting out. And, of course, we also know that being overweight and obese is a risk factor for COVID-19, as it is also for strokes and for heart attacks and diabetes and any other number of conditions. So it's not just a matter of getting back into those jeans that you wore back in 2018. It's also about making your health better overall. And so we have two wonderful guests that we're going to be talking to tonight, a chef and a naturopathic physician who are going to guide us through helping us address those pounds that we might have put on during the pandemic. So make sure you share this episode right now with your girlfriend, your family, anyone who you think needs to hear this. We're going to be bringing them on in just a few minutes. But as always, we start off with our co-producers, Ms. Lila Mays and Mr. Wayne Bruce.
Hey. What's going on?
Welcome.
So can't they share this with their husbands and boyfriends too? Or is this just for women? I mean, let me know.
No, I said family.
Oh, no.
If I'm out of it,
I said family. Family, boyfriends, uncles, cousins.
Okay, there you go.
Sons, everybody.
There you go. I mean, I ain't got to worry about my 15 if we ain't got to share with no men.
I mean,
and I want to make sure everybody starts writing their questions in too. Start now.
Right. Start writing your questions in. We want you to like, share, comment, the whole routine. See, like, comment, and subscribe. We got it together. So, Dr. Mel, let's go.
All right. Let's hit that weekly recap that we do.
There we go. Here we go.
Well, as you know, we start off with the numbers of people affected by COVID-19. And as of today, we know that we have 34,205,000 cases of COVID-19. And unfortunately, as far as deaths, we have over 612,000 souls who've been lost to COVID. But, the good news is that the death rates from COVID are plummeting by 85% since January.
Yep.
And so that's wonderful. The thing is, unfortunately, what we're hearing is that the people who are getting sick and unfortunately passing away from COVID are younger and younger now. People in their 30s, 40s, 50s, if they haven't been vaccinated, they're accounting for the higher proportions of people succumbing to COVID, because people 65 and older, 3 out of every 65 plus person is vaccinated, which is wonderful. Okay. And so we're seeing death rates in that group go way down.
That's wow. Good. Okay, so that takes us right on into Vax Facts.
Yeah. So we have about 138 million people who are fully vaccinated. That's about 42% of the United States population.
Okay.
We have over 300 million people who've gotten at least one dose.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's rolling now. we have our superstar states, Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, over 50% of their population fully vaccinated.
Okay.
We got our states that bring it up the rear. You know who those are? The same ones. Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, less than 1 in every 3 people vaccinated. And as a matter of fact, Alabama's governor, signed into law that, that basically you can't require vaccines if you're an employer or a venue or anything else. So that's probably not going to work in their favor.
Yeah, they're going to get hit.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, the 65 plus, they are out partying right now. 75% of them are
living
vaccinated.
Their best life.
My mom, who is 88, all the residents of where she lives, they all went to the beach last week.
Wow.
So
they're living the champagne life.
They are living the champagne life right now. Yeah.
This is what Neo was talking about.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
So wow. Well, look, let's go to on that list. Are we finished the Vax Facts? I forgot to ask. So
yeah.
I have to bring this up because he was a hero of mine. Clarence Williams III passed this week. And if anybody saw Mod Squad, grew up in the Mod Squad days, and anybody that grew up on Purple Rain.
Yeah.
He played Prince's father.
He was the dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't I keep the heat on? That was big line from that movie. Movie with Wesley Snipes, Sugar Hill. He died of prostate cancer. But something great happened this week. We had a possible breakthrough with prostate cancer, Dr. Mel.
Yeah, well, rest in peace, Mr. Clarence Williams III. And it was just, I think the same day probably that he passed away that this announcement was made about prostate cancer. We know that it's the second leading cause of death for men, right behind lung cancer. And Black men die of prostate cancer at twice the rate that white people do. Wow. And once it spreads, just like any other cancer, it's much harder to treat, which is why this particular medication that just came out, it's a form of IV therapy, liquid radiation therapy. They've had really good results because it travels in the body to wherever the prostate cancer has traveled, targets it, and can eliminate it. And so it's decreasing what they've seen in the trials, the risk of death from prostate cancer by 40%, which is pretty significant for people with advanced prostate cancer.
For sure. Wow. All right. So let's get into healthcare being down for minorities. This actually resonates with me because I was not going to the doctor when we first went into shutdown during the pandemic. But it sounds like a lot of Black and brown people sort of had the same mindset as one of your co-producers. Yeah, Dr. Mel?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's true. And I mean, Black and brown people knew more people dying from COVID. So it was more real to them in terms of, hey, I think I'm not going to, go get that preventive mammogram, which is basically what this study out of Washington State showed, that mammograms were down by 50%, but most of that decrease was due to Hispanic people, Black people, people on Medicaid, people with no insurance who were electing not to go get screened. And so it's important now that things are opening back up, that if you were one of the people who've deferred your mammogram or your colon screening or just your visit to your doctor, your yearly visit to your doctor, or if you're working with a health coach, anybody, reestablish contact with them so that you can work on your health goals and make sure that you're getting all the preventive screenings that you need to get.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I went and had my mammogram a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
All right. Wonderful.
Okay. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow.
All right.
Come on now. Come on, doctor's appointment. So that brings me to this. That brings me to the wonderful Dr. Kismikia Corbett. And she said, she in an interview on MSNBC. She said they had been waiting with that mRNA, that messenger, with this vaccine platform that uses mRNA. And I read something about them using it for other other diseases.
Applications. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So, that technology was at least a decade in the making, and we've seen that it has produced a remarkably safe and effective vaccine that has caused the death rate and infection rate from COVID to go way down. And it's important to keep in mind that messenger RNA is sort of like the copy of a cookbook recipe, and it basically gives instructions. In this case, in case of the COVID vaccine, it's being used to give instructions for how to make a piece of the virus so that our immune systems can recognize it. But it actually now that it's been proven to work, they're saying, hey, we can use this same thing for other things. So vaccines around HIV are being looked at, herpes, a flu vaccine that you wouldn't need to get every year. So that's the viruses, but then they're also looking at it for giving instructions in the case of something like sickle cell disease or multiple sclerosis, where there might be a protein that's missing that needs to be programmed or developed in your body for your body to respond to. Mm-hmm. And so they're also looking at it for those kinds of treatments too, and even certain cancers like some skin cancers, melanoma, and brain tumors. So it looks like because of the success with messenger RNA technology and COVID, we can look for a lot more possible advances in medicine in the next few years.
Wow.
Okay. Right. That is great. Okay, so this is a hot topic. Employers asking their employees or demanding that they get vaccinated. Is it legal, Dr. Bell?
Turns out it is. So the EEOC states that employers can legally require their employees to be vaccinated for COVID-19, but the employers have to comply with reasonable accommodations of the American with Disabilities Act and the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So all the EEO considerations. And that if there is a state law in place, it doesn't supersede it. So remember, we talked about Alabama putting a law into place saying that employers couldn't require it. So this won't supersede it. But it also turns out employers can also offer vaccine incentives. They can distribute information about COVID-19 vaccinations. I've been doing a lot of talks to employers asking me to talk to their employees and answer their questions about the vaccine. So that's legal too. Employers should also keep in mind individuals or demographics that may face barriers to receiving a vaccine, and they have to provide reasonable accommodation for those who are exempt from mandatory immunization. So those things have to be kept in mind. But overall, yes, it is totally above board for employers to require vaccination.
It's interesting. I work in production, and so my staff have either been vaccinated or are going to be vaccinated. But the people who are in the program, they work on set, right? And so studios, to my knowledge, are not demanding that folks be vaccinated. However, they test every week, they test every several days, they have all these protocols in place. But what's interesting is the folks who want to work, they're getting vaccinated, like for day players and that kind of thing. It definitely pushes them to the front of the line.
When you say production, just let's be clear, you mean movie production, because you're in
LA.
Television
and movie, right?
Come on.
Okay. And what's a day? What's a day player?
A day player is someone. Okay, sorry. So a day player would be someone who isn't fully staffed, who isn't a full-time employee of the production, the show, the feature, whatever it is. So they might need extra hands or someone called in sick. A day player would be someone who would come in and fill in for whoever that person is that didn't work that day. Day players are moving to the front of the line if they're vaccinated,
Wow.
Particularly for some of the work that I do. Yeah. I mean, so I think that's an incentive, but
Yeah, work.
it's interesting. Yeah, a paycheck. Huh?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Huh?
Yeah.
There we go. Come on,
makes
paycheck.
sense. Makes sense.
Come on, paycheck.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's incentive enough. Since people have been out of
I
work
think
for
so.
years, some of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would imagine concert venues, performers too, you might be seeing the same thing.
Wow.
Yeah, I bet.
Well,
Bet.
I was in the airport, and a good friend of mine, I'm a musician. You might not be able to tell, but I was in the airport, and a friend of mine asked me, "Hey, man, have you gotten a shot?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fully vaccinated." And he was like, "Yeah, I took my first shot." He said I wasn't going to take it, but it was because I found out I may not be able to travel overseas to perform if I didn't have it. So that was his
Right.
incentive.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Paycheck.
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 Come
Yeah.
on, paycheck.
Money talks.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Exactly. Well, that is it for our weekly recap.
So that brings us to the weekly debunk. Stopping misinformation in its tracks. Hey, I'm just saying, if we're not going to reach herd immunity, there's absolutely no point of me getting vaccinated, right? That was from Tyrone Twitter Fingers.
I don't know, Tyrone Twitter fingers. Excuse me, Dr. Mill, is that true?
Not exactly. So, first of all, let's just briefly recap what herd immunity is. That's that number that epidemiologists say they think it's around 80%, 85% of the population once they get vaccinated and have immunity to the coronavirus, that it will stop the spread of COVID because the virus won't have anybody to jump to. So I had a conversation with someone who said, I'm not going to get vaccinated because we're not going to get to herd immunity anyway, right?
Yeah.
And basically what we talked about is, don't really worry about the rest of the country. Think about the people that you interact with the most, your tribe, if you will, reaching herd immunity. So who is that? Those are the people that you spend the most time with, the people that you want to hug, the people you travel with, the people you want to be around, the people you want to get with. It's definitely those people that you live with. And maybe it's the family that you want to see this summer at the family reunion, your faith family, the people you'd vacation with.
And the booty call. And the booty call. The booty calls too. Like Dr. Mill ain't gonna say it like that.
Did you just bring up a booty
with,
call?
like,
You
yes,
gonna get vaccinated for a booty call,
real.
of course.
Yes.
Well, whoever it is, it might be your bidwiz partner, it might be your fraternity or sorority or your golf or fishing buddy. It could be anybody.
Okay.
But that's who you need to be thinking about. Do you as a group have herd immunity? Because it's those people that you interact with that are going to be the most important. And so if you do your part to protect them, then that's really all you need to be focused on, not really whether the country as a whole is going to reach herd immunity. So, and then the flip side of that too, some people are thinking, well, I'm just going to let them reach herd immunity and then that'll protect me. Again, that's like a chicken and the egg thing, because if you're waiting for everybody else to do it, it's not going to get done. So I would also say the flip side, do your part, think about your family, think about your community if you're not concerned about yourself.
Mm-hmm. And there you have it, the weekly debunk.
All right. Well, thank you all for helping me with the weekly recap and the weekly debunk.
You're welcome. I just want to remind everybody, let's keep it grown. and I'm not going to say grown and efficient. And let's put those questions about the COVID-15 in our comment section. All right?
Yes. And hit like and hit share.
Hit like and hit share. Please hit subscribe. Hit subscribe too. All right.
All right. Thank you all. We are going to move on with the show because I know everybody wants to hear my next two guests because we're going to be talking about the fact that I know I did it. I hit those some ice cream and potato chips and sugary drinks occasionally. Maybe for you, it was the stress, anxiety that resulted in a little carb loading. Maybe it was your lack of leaving the house that disrupted your exercise routine that you had. You'd stop at the gym coming home from work. Um, did your sweatpants that you wore every day help your denial that you might have been gaining a little bit of weight? Well, if any of those things ring home, you are not alone. A lot of people have been going through it. And so one of the number one requests that I've had is, Dr. Mel, can you do a show about weight gain, the COVID-19? So we're here. We are here for it. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to talk about culinary medicine tonight, about food, hormones, weight gains, how to cook nutritious food. And for that, we have two incredible guests who are joining us. First, we have Dr. Lisa Lewis. She's a leading licensed naturopathic doctor and acupuncturist who uses a combination of natural medicine, Chinese medicine, and Western medicine for transformational healing. She's the CEO of Lewis Health Healing Institute, owner of Nature Doctors Nutritionals, author of Stop Stressing Me Out: 7 Solutions to Overcome Overwhelm and Conquer Disease Naturally, and a co-host of the Blend Talk Show. Welcome, Dr. Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to talk about this topic because this is definitely hot on everybody's list.
Absolutely. And our second guest is Chef Riri. She's eclectic, creative. Chef Sherrie Edwards, aka the healthy eating, active living chef. She went from a corporate PR career to being in the kitchen to birth Chef Riri's Kitchen. No E in kitchen, by the way, sharing her award-winning culinary skills and contagious approach to intentional eating. Welcome, Chef Riri. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Well, myself, how to do. It's such an honor to be here, Dr. Clarke. Thank you so much. Super excited to start talking about how people can stay excited about eating healthy stuff that tastes good.
All right. Wonderful. Well, we're going to start off with Dr. Lisa because I want to kind of set the stage for you telling us from the medical perspective, what makes people gain weight? Is it simple as calories in, calories out, or eat less, move more? Can you break that down for us?
Yeah. So there's so many different imbalances and so many different problems and challenges that can cause weight gain. And I believe that most people think about it from calories in, calories out, right? They think, oh, if I eat so much, then I will gain so much. Or if I starve, I'll lose, right? Most people really think about it from the perspective of what they eat as far as the amounts. But really, it's about quality of food, right? And it's also about what that food is doing to the body, inside the body. And most people don't really think about the fact that the food is medicine, right? And food is one of the most important things, but of course, it's movement, it's exercise, and hormones are a huge factor, as well as the digestive system, because it's not like what we eat, is what we ingest, what we absorb, or what we diet, right? And so there's so many factors. So people are always like running on the treadmill and doing all kinds of crazy things to try and lose weight. I mean, then they plateau or they don't lose weight and they don't understand why, but then they don't take those other factors into consideration. Yeah.
Right. Because the other thing is obesity is a disease, right? And you mentioned something about hormones being a part of that. Help us understand, what role do hormones play in that?
Yeah. So hormones are these messengers. So they take signals to different parts of the body to help make sure that the body does what we want it to do, right? And so there's hormones that help burn fat, but then there's also hormones that store fat, or what we call fat storing versus fat burning hormones. And so unfortunately, most of the fat storing hormones are in the women category.
Right.
Because unfortunately. So estrogen, insulin, thyroid, those kinds of things. Of course, testosterone is more of a fat burning hormone. So
and we see that all the time, because men just have to say, I'm gonna lose weight, and they lose weight, right? Whereas women, it's a lot more challenging.
Do not bet. Do not bet a man. Do not say, okay, we're starting today. Whoever loses the most in X period of time wins. Don't do it. Okay. Don't do it. So I really think the focus really for people should be health. So when I think about weight loss, I think about health, because naturally, if we're, our body desires health. It desires to be at a natural weight. And if it's at a weight that's not natural, either too much or too little weight, then we see that there's something out of balance. And the key is doing the due diligence, understanding the cause, and getting to the root of what it is. And most people just think it's food, but it's so much more.
Right. No, absolutely. And I mentioned obesity as a disease, and there's a lot of complex things going on. You mentioned being at an ideal weight. A lot of people don't realize that for every pound they're overweight, that's 3 pounds of extra pressure on your knees. So I mentioned heart attacks and strokes and diabetes. Arthritis is also associated with extra weight as well. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about some foods that might help to address metabolism, or not even foods, but just things that can address your metabolism?
Yeah. I mean, when I think about from the perspective of like, what's a fat burning food? I also think about like vitamins and minerals, because that's when the macros and the micros. So the proteins, the fat, the carb versus the calcium, the minerals, the vitamins, and things of that nature, right? Because that's really why we eat. We eat to get all of those components so that they can make those biochemical reactions happen in the body, so that then we can do what we need to do, right? So I think of calcium. So most people think, oh, milk, it does the body good. No. Okay. Calcium is it's a fat burning food, or it boosts the metabolism, but we can get so much calcium from broccoli, or from, vegetables, and from, raspberries and different things, you know what I mean? Like from leafy greens. So there's so many different ways to get vitamins and minerals. So when I say calcium, people, please do not pour down the cow's milk, because we don't like cow's milk. Okay. Because that's an inflammatory agent. So it's going to create a lot of immune imbalances and complexes, and that's one thing. Definitely, when we think about vegetables, we think about it from the fiber perspective. So even oats, they will increase fiber. The increased fiber will help your body to not just eliminate the food, but it also slow down the process, that sugar, that insulin, reduce the insulin in the body and slow down how you process sugar, and support your body in that way. All the peppers, the habaneros, the cayennes, and the chili peppers, they also help boost metabolism. Gosh, I mean, there's just so many foods, magnesium foods, avocados, things of that nature, because they help relax the muscle, help your body digest much more efficiently, things of that nature. So, I mean, we could be here all night talking about the foods, because the key is what the food does in the body. So not necessarily choosing the food per se, but like creating the meal around it, making sure you're getting a combination. You're making sure you're getting the right macros, the right protein, fat, and carb combinations, to make sure that everything is in balance, so that you're not getting too much of one, not enough of the other, and you're getting a variety, because most people eat the same 10 foods. I mean, the same 10, right?
Right. Well, exactly.
So you're not going to get a variety from the same 10 foods.
Yeah.
So you have to.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's one reason why I'm really glad that we have Chef Riri here tonight, because I want to bring her into the discussion and tell us, because Dr. Lisa mentioned, menu planning. Tell us a little bit about your philosophy around menu planning and some of the exciting things you do in the kitchen.
You know, it is so wonderful that Dr. Mel, I love that she has gone ahead of me because she has the DR behind her name and she brings the science. And what she ended with is what I would like to start with. Menu planning for me is the whole philosophy of taking culinary adventures. Dr. Mel just mentioned that people are in this box, if you will, eating the same thing over and over again, shopping at the same grocery store, going down the same aisles. Even if they are trying to do the healthy thing, they're eating the same vegetables over and over again. It is summertime in the DMV. We have a saying in Jamaica, say all fruits ripe. That means that everything is in season, everything is blossoming. I love taking culinary adventures. I advise my clients all the time. Everybody has a smartphone. It's called a smartphone for a reason. If you come across something that you've never seen before in your life, stay in that grocery store, Google it, look it up. There's a plethora of recipes out there. And normally taking a culinary plunge sometimes will cost you less than $10. So culinary adventures, that's my number one key in doing menu planning, if you will,
Right.
so that you're not stuck in this box. And I tell my clients all the time that look, your palate could be lying to you. It could be lying to you. You're looking at something you're like, I can't eat that, or it may have been something that you experienced when you were younger. Beets is number one. If I had a quarter for how many of my clients who were former beet haters who are beet lovers now.
Oh yeah,
Now,
I love
I would be exceptional because they have in their minds this concept of the thing in the jar that their grandmothers gave them that tasted horrible. And then you allow yourself to take the culinary adventure, experience it spiralized with some lemon juice, something as simple as that. Experience it roasted. Now it tastes like potatoes almost, and it's a whole nother experience. So menu planning, number one, get out of the box, take culinary adventures. Go to farmers
I
markets.
love that advice.
Go down
Yeah.
a different aisle. Take that adventure.
I love that advice. And maybe you could just tell us too, you mentioned that you were in or in your intro that I made, you mentioned that you were in a corporate PR job and that you made the
Yes.
transition to being mainly in the kitchen now. Tell us a little bit
Right.
about that, because I think you were on a weight loss journey of your own when that happened, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, the universe has a wonderful way of like setting you up. And
Yeah.
I was set up. I was set up because in my corporate life, when I was 220 pounds, a size 18, my day-to-day job was managing health campaigns for the African American community.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was doing media talking points. I was creating brochures. I was doing ads. I was doing PSAs all around different campaigns that targeted the African American audience, helping them, trying to teach them how to eat better, move more, to prevent the onset of these diseases that affect us. Like we just run down the gamut. And me, the PR person, the campaign manager,
Right.
was the
Right.
poster child for what I was writing about. So there came a time in my life, and I'll be very transparent. The marriage failed, the husband left. I was in a funk, and I wanted to get back to who I was pre-married. You know, so I went on my own personal weight loss journey, and guess what I did? Everything that I was writing and putting out in press releases and PSAs and media advisories and brochures, I started to live that. Because I'm like, okay, this has worked for the target audience. Let me start to implement it for me. So at 220 pounds, I started on my weight loss journey. Once again, being transparent, I did the fat thing initially. Dr. Lewis, don't judge me, but I did the fat thing where I was doing the B12 shots and everything because I was looking for a shortcut, if you will.
Yeah.
And that didn't work because it worked for a minute. I hit a plateau, and then the weight I thought I lost came back and brought their second cousins with them. So I decided to go ahead and started to believe my own PR and to apply old school philosophies about having a wealthy life, which is being sensitive to your body, eating food that, as Dr. Lewis said, do an internal work so that the external can happen. And just falling in love with having those substitutions and being in the kitchen. The PR live just kind of like faded in the background, and the kitchen kept calling me. So I said yes, and here I am, Chef Riri.
Yeah. Wow. What a wonderful story. And I know that you mentioned in there, failed marriage, that you wanted to get back to who you were. A lot of times, though, for some people, emotional challenges such as that can actually have the opposite effect. And especially since we've come through this pandemic, there's been a lot of anxiety, a lot of loss, a lot of grieving loved ones. And those have been roadblocks for people. So Dr. Lisa, can you talk a little bit about what role stress has in weight control, and how does managing stress, how is that a component of weight control?
Yeah, so stress is huge. I mean, we know it's a factor for pretty much every disease. And again, we don't know what comes first, the chicken or the egg sometimes. Is it the stress that causes the disease, or is it all the factors and the imbalances happening in the body that then is putting stress on the system? We don't know. We don't care. We just know that we have to get to the stress. We have to treat the stress. And so I think that it was this pandemic was kind of like a perfect storm. It then created a lot of imbalance in many different organs, the lung, the digestive system, like all of these different organs that that require the support to lose weight. So when you talk about stress, you're talking about cortisol, right? You're talking about, in most cases, you're talking about the increase of the I say the hormone that's really there to save our lives, right? Because it is
the fight or flight one.
That's right. And as you know, it is why we still are on this planet as humans, right? And so when the stress is too high for too long, then the adrenal glands, they start to what I call peter out, right? They don't produce as much, and that's adrenal fatigue. But most people start off in what we call that stage 1, which is where it's excess, where the cortisol is like high. That is then going to cause the body to store fat, because cortisol has a significant effect, especially on blood sugar. Because as you just think you're running from the tiger, right? So the tiger says, the tiger's like, if I'm going to get you, so what's the body going to be? It's going to increase its blood sugar, because it needs energy to actually run. You're either going to run or you're going to stand up and fight, right? And so you need that elevated blood sugar, you need the elevated blood pressure. You need to shut the digestive system down, because it doesn't want you stopping looking for food when you're running from the tiger. It shuts the reproductive system down, because it doesn't want you looking for anything else while you're running from the tiger, right? So, right? So all of these systems get shut down, and then the body just can't work effectively. And so one of those major imbalances is the digestive system, the thyroid, because cortisol actually inhibits the thyroid production. Also has a significant effect on leptin, which is another hormone that controls how much we eat, whether we're going to take that fork and so the key is understanding like how the body works, and knowing that cortisol, it does save our life. It's there to support us, but in excess, it can create a lot of damage, a lot of inflammation. It's the strongest anti-inflammatory known to man. So it's there to support us in inflammatory times. But if it's elevated for too long, then it causes inflammation. And inflammation is then going to contribute to diabetes, obesity, like all the chronic diseases.
All the chronic diseases we know about. Yeah.
All of them, right? And itis, right? And
so it sounds like what you're saying. So it sounds like what you're saying is a part of any weight control plan and healthy eating plan is also getting your mind right, right?
Yes.
So
Well, yeah,
addressing the
getting
stress.
But
Yeah,
remember, that's
addressing the
mindset.
stress.
Yep,
Yeah,
mindset.
yeah,
But all of those can't happen if you're grieving, right?
right.
If you're in a state where you don't know when you're gonna, you talked about people losing their jobs and having to take the vaccination in order to travel and to get to work. Like all the amazing, wonderful things that you made that were part of your life were taken away during the pandemic. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna choose food because food has always been that thing that comforts us, right? And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
but then the sleep, the exercise, like all of the things that are responsible for a healthy lifestyle were topsy-turvy during the pandemic, right? And so if you knew this was happening and you prepared, then you were one of those people who didn't rush and go get toilet paper. You ran to the vegetable aisle, right? Right? And you
Right.
stocked up on the vegetables, and possibly got your Vitamix or kind of blender and blended things up and did what you could do. But the key was lifestyle was shifted and changed. So we had to shift and change our lifestyle. And that's the key.
Right.
Stress is a lifestyle disease. And that's what
Yes.
we always have to shift our lifestyle in order to balance stress.
Yes. And I always say that whatever you're doing to address stress in your life, you have to do it on a daily basis because the stressors are there every day.
Yeah.
And so there's so much stuff I want to ask you, but I got to bring in the audience because I know that they must have some questions. So Lila and Wayne, can you rejoin us and let us know what's going on in the chat? If anybody wants to ask Dr. Lisa or Chef Riri any questions.
The chat is going off.
Sure.
Chat is going off. So look, we have a few questions, and I'll start, and we have a few comments.
Comments,
So let's go to the comments. This is a question coming from Pamela Singleton. It's Dr. Lewis. What is your thought on intermittent fasting?
Fasting. Oh, I love it, love it, love it. So especially if you're trying to manage your weight long term, right? Because you have to trick the body. It's like, like when you're working out, your body requires to do something different in order to take it to the next level. You can't just keep doing the same things over. That's how I look at intermittent fasting, as a way to really shift the body, reduce the number of calories you're taking because you're eating later or eating for a shorter period of the day. You can control what you're eating much more efficiently, and you can and you're really teaching yourself how to eat as we should, like stopping to eat at 7 p.m., not eating too early, like all the amazing things. So the 16-8 is the intermittent fast that I usually recommend, where you're fasting for 16 hours and eating for 8 hours. That's the best. I think that's the best option for most people.
So Dr. Lewis,
question,
that's a great question. Can you break that down just even further, just for people who don't really understand what intermittent fasting is? You said 16-8, but can you tell the people exactly what that means?
For sure. So intermittent fasting is basically when you're choosing to fast for a certain period of time. And when we say fast, we don't mean no food. You can have water, you can have broth, you can have things that don't have calories, like a lot of calories. Right. And so you're basically eating for a shorter window throughout that day. So it's not as if you're fasting for a whole day. You're just fasting for a certain period of time. Now, most people fast when they're sleeping, right?
Right.
So if we're fasting, say for instance, you wake up at 8 a.m., you would then, to do a 16-hour fast, you might not eat until 11. You may eat at 12, and then you might eat from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. That would be your 8-hour window. And then you can usually, I'm not going to say you can eat whatever you want during that period, but you want to eat responsibly. Right. But you're reducing that window of time, so you can effectively reduce your calorie count significantly, and it's really powerful.
And the I think, which is, you said it already, but I think it's really important, because I think some people think, oh, I have 8 hours to eat, I'm gonna eat everything in these 8 hours, but that's not the point, right?
Everything in sight, right?
The point is to reduce your caloric intake even in those hours
Yes.
that you've broken the fast, correct?
Or not
Yeah.
necessarily reduce it, but I think, to Chef Riri's point, in terms of choosing healthy foods to
Right.
eat during
Okay.
those 8 hours. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's usually combined with another eating protocol. Like, I remember doing keto, and at the same time as
Right.
doing ketogenic diet, I was also intermittent fasting. So you can add it to whatever kind of healthy eating protocol you're using, and it just enhance it.
Okay.
Okay. So also in our comments, people are commenting, and I want to get Chef Riri to comment on this. Someone mentioned your pineapple tea. They said your pineapple tea will heal your soul,
whole soul.
your whole soul. So tell us what
Oh.
dish the pineapple tea goes with, Chef Riri.
Oh my goodness. I love my people. I love them. I love them. So the pineapple tea, it was not invented by me, but it's definitely a Jamaican thing. But the ingredients of it are so beneficial to your body. It is amazing that I'm actually selling medicine to people, because what it actually is, it is comprised of fresh pineapples, ginger roots, cinnamon sticks that is fermented. We allow it to brew for 3 days. So it's actually a tea. That's why it's called pineapple tea. Then it is sweetened with organic cane sugar and fresh squeezed lemons. So the thing about it is that, and I love having Dr. Lewis here, because if you won't believe the chef, you'll believe the doctor. You just have to stop at ginger root
That's right.
and what ginger root does. And I love what Dr. Lewis said, and I wrote it down, what food does inside the body. I get excited when people ingest that going inside the body, because I know what ginger is going to do inside the body for your digestive tract, for inflammation, for boosting your immune system, all of that thing. And look, if you don't believe me, just check in Jamaica and ask them what they believe ginger can do. Ginger is like a culinary god.
There's a whole ginger beer, which is not
I'm
alcoholic.
trying to tell you.
Right.
Yeah, so
Right.
so that pineapple tea is one of the ways that I encourage people to celebrate what healthy can actually do. That when you think of making healthy choices, you're not a rabbit. You know, you're not crunching on celery sticks all the time. There's a whole plethora of things that when you actually combine it, you're actually weaponizing your body with these fresh ingredients.
Where can they find the pineapple? Where can they find the pineapple tea recipe, Chef Riri?
So the recipe, oh, come on, Dr. Mel. You know I ain't gonna sell that recipe. My grandmama will kill me. Are you kidding me? No.
Well, I was actually giving you a chance to say where your website
truly,
is.
Yeah, but truly, what I can actually tell them is that the recipe I already told you. There's some secret ingredients that we actually use, but anybody can do it. You get fresh pineapple, ginger root, cinnamon sticks. Bring that to a boil. Leave it alone. Don't open the lid. Don't look at the pot. Don't bother the pot. The pot is doing what it needs to do. Leave it for 3 days. Then you sweeten that with cane sugar and fresh squeezed lemon juice. I promise you, hot or cold, It is amazing.
All right.
But to get our version, just hit me up on Instagram or Facebook to order it.
So that brings us to a couple points. We want to bring up where they can find both of you. Not yet, because we're going into a lightning round. And all these questions have to be, we got a lot of questions, so they need to be answered fast. And we're going to get to it right now. So here we go. Now I can't find. When do you ever recommend bariatric surgery?
Dr. Lisa?
Well, as the naturopathic doctor, as the last resort, as the last resort. So if you've tried everything and you can't work, then it's a last resort for me. But when your health is at significant risk, you have to lose the weight. So that would probably be my answer. After you've tried everything, but your health is still in jeopardy, then yes, then I would recommend it. Yeah.
Okay, for both the doctor and the chef, do you have a favorite smoothie recipe, particularly for speeding up the metabolism and anti-inflammatory?
Yes.
Chef Riri first and Dr. Lisa next.
Okay, it's called the green carrot cake smoothie. It's a green carrot cake. So everybody taking notes, you ready? Let's go. Carrots, kale, ginger root, sweet potato, any kind of granola blend that you would like. If you don't have the granola blend, you can use oats and cinnamon, right? What you're gonna put that in the blender. I highly recommend, and Khalifa, if you are listening, give me an endorsement. The Khalifa brand coconut almond milk with a little bit of cayenne pepper and some unsweetened yogurt. Blend that thing up. Tell Chef Riri how much you love her after that.
Okay.
All right, Dr. Lisa.
Now, I hope my might not taste as good as hers, but it's therapeutic. All right, so using a high-powered mixer like a Vitamix or a Blendtec or something along those lines. Start with a slice of lime or a slice of lemon, 2 handfuls of kale or some kind of green drink, green vegetable. You want to use chia seeds, but you have to about a tablespoon and a half of chia seeds, but you have to soak them to make it chia gel. And then you can add, I'm a frozen food kind of fruit girl, so I just take a handful of your favorite frozen fruit,
Berries or something.
a little bit. Yeah, berries usually for low, but a slice of either turmeric or ginger, and then you can, if you're trying to make a meal replacement, you want to have maybe a protein powder or a good source of protein, almond milk, coconut milk, something along those lines, and then a tad bit of monk fruit or stevia.
Okay.
Great.
All right.
You heard it here.
So we're going to go back and dig in the crates for this one. We have a COVID question. Is pregnancy an underlying condition? A young mother, 6 months pregnant, died from COVID this past week.
Yes, unfortunately it is. Women who are pregnant are higher risk when they get COVID of everything from premature labor to hemorrhaging, bleeding, a lot of the complications of pregnancy. They're at higher risk for stroke as well, and blood clots. So for those reasons, a lot of OBGYNs are encouraging their pregnant patients to get vaccinated against COVID because pregnancy is a high risk condition for COVID.
Okay. Next question comes from one of our stars, Valerie Spalding Parker. She says, it can be done. I lost 130 pounds over the past 2 years. Come on, Val. And what you have found is what have you found is the mindset and habits of those who lose weight and keep it off?
Excellent question.
I'll take that one.
Okay.
Go ahead. So first of all, you have to know you can do it. You have to believe. If you don't believe, forget it. It's not going to happen. You have to create a regimen. You have to create a lifestyle. That means everything around you has to support that process, right? So your food, your sleep, you have to move. Now, exercise is very different for different people. So you can't just choose an exercise plan. You have to choose it based on your abilities, but you have to exercise effectively. But the key is you have to let everybody around you know that that's what you're doing so that they can support you. Those who don't support you, just push them off to the side.
Put them to the side.
That's right. And keep doing what you're doing because your whole world has to be surrounded by and intentional with that goal. So yeah.
And Chef Riri, I think you wanted to add too.
Yeah, I am a weight loss, weight release survivor. And what worked for me, I coined it my AC unit. My AC unit is accountability and creativity. Like Dr. Lewis said, absolutely put everybody, do all of them, put everybody on notice. This is what I'm doing, and I am absolutely serious about it, right? But also surround yourself with people who will hold you accountable, and don't get offended when accountability checks you. You can't be offended. And creativity in your fitness. Like, we're not gonna walk the treadmill for like five years. You know, switch stuff up. Get around with people who do cray things. Like, do some of those like American Ninja Warrior Park things. Well, they're probably not open now, but get creative with your workout and creative with that plate. So you
Biking,
are bored.
swimming,
AC
walking.
unit, AC
right.
unit, accountability and creativity. Accountability and creativity.
Creativity with your food too, because if you get bored with what you're eating, it's a wrap.
100%.
Right? You have to be creative around your food.
100%. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
That's it.
All right. Any more lightning round questions?
That is it. We are
Wow, wonderful. I want to just quickly go to Dr. Lewis, because yesterday we talked a little bit in our pre-meeting about the energetics of food, and turmeric and ginger and cayenne were mentioned. Why are those important?
Yeah, so they actually boost the metabolism. So they're considered hot foods. So we have cold foods, we have warm foods, we have hot foods. So those types of cinnamon, all the ones she mentioned in the pineapple, was that pineapple tea?
Hot tea.
Yep. All those are, so they were all hot. And so they heat up the body, boost the metabolism. And so there's not just the taste of the food, it's what it does inside the body. So that's why we call it food energetics, because it's how it reacts inside the body, not exactly just what it tastes like. And it's
I
really
know that
powerful. Yeah. So all of those are hot foods. So it's good stuff.
I know that's from your Chinese medicine training, right?
Yes, ma'am. Chinese medicine.
Absolutely.
All the way. Yeah. They eat every part of the root, like I said, the rooter to the tutor. They eat everything, and they know,
right.
They know what it's all used for. But
right.
it's not just always Chinese medicine, by the way.
Right. But Chef Riri, where can they find you? And then Dr. Lewis, where can they find you?
Okay, so I am easy to find. I am on Instagram and on Facebook at Riri's Kitchen, no E in kitchen. If you put the E in the kitchen, you will find somebody else, not Chef Riri. I want you to find me. Our website is under construction right now. We're doing a major overhaul of the website, but if people go to ririskitchen.com, they will still be able to contact me with Facebook and Instagram. And we also have a free cooking community called Make We Cook Now. That means that let's get cooking in Jamaica. People can find recipes, resources. That is my culinary playground. That's my culinary baby, if you will. So hit me up. I am your help. And before we go, I do have one recipe that I want to share. This is called the hot shots. And I always try to do something exclusive for any kind of speaking engagement I have. And piggybacking on Dr. Lewis.
We might have to ask you to put that in the chat, just so that we can make sure we get to Dr. Lewis's information. Thanks, though.
Absolutely. All
right. So I'm pretty easy. It's Dr. Lisa Lewis. So Dr. LISALEWIS. .com. So it's drlisalewis.com, Dr. Lisa Lewis on Facebook, Dr. Lisa Lewis on Instagram. And my primary goal is to help support people who are baffled by what's going on with their body. So I support people in figuring it out, getting to the cause, offer discovery sessions to support people in understanding natural medicine a little bit more, have a a Vitality University membership. It's all kinds of stuff. A product line. You'll find it all on the website. It's full of stuff. So no worries.
So I think you all will agree with me that we had two wonderful guests tonight. Thank you so much for all the wealth of information that you offered. You know, I think we would agree that, you know, it's important when it comes to thinking about managing your weight, accountability, creativity, having the right mindset, focusing on your energy in terms of your mental wellness and your focus, as well as getting enough sleep, getting enough hydration, because those things also too contribute to underlying inflammation in your body, which then can also make it harder for you to lose weight. We've heard some wonderful things. I also, of course, want to thank my wonderful producers, Miss Lila Mays and Mr. Wayne Bruce. You can catch me tomorrow. I will be on the Russ Park Morning Show tomorrow morning at 8:50 a.m. Eastern Time. I'll also be, for those of you who are WHUR Howard University radio listeners, I will be on the Daily Drum tomorrow at 7 p.m. So you can catch me there. But if you don't catch me in either of those places, you can definitely catch me here next week, Monday night, 9 p.m., streaming on Facebook and YouTube. And until I see you, wherever it is, remember, please be wise, be well, and be health empowered. Thanks so much for joining.